I've known Josiah for pretty much as long as I can remember. We met in early elementary school and were best friends ever since. The summers were filled with playing Battlefront on his PlayStation inside or outside, trying to make explosions with cap guns and match heads. During the school year, we played Minecraft together a bit more than we should have, when we really were supposed to be doing our homework. By high school, Battlefront on his PlayStation had been replaced with pulling all-nighters playing Halo at the Conrads, and we had bonfires and cookouts instead of playing with match heads. We were generally a bit safer with fire, too, aside from the occasional 4th of July mishap. This continued into college, where we were roommates, and it became a bit too easy to convince each other to procrastinate our work to play games or watch a show instead. However, even though years passed since we first met, things never really changed. He was always the same funny, kind kid I was friends with way back in elementary school, who was always ready to hang out or hop on a game. Since he was such a big part of my life, I wanted to share a few of my favorite memories with him. One of my favorite qualities of Josiah is that when he was interested in something, he would full send it. One of my favorite memories of this is playing Axis and Allies with him for the first time, which was a very complicated board game based on World War II. A bunch of our friends got together at his house, where he had already made custom hats for each of us based on our teams. He probably spent over an hour painstakingly explaining the 50-something page rulebook and setting up the game board with us on the deck before we even started playing. After all this, we only got through 4 or 5 full turns over the course of several hours until one side surrendered as it started to get a bit too dark outside. At the end of the night, though, he couldn't wait to play again. Another time, he hosted a 4th of July cookout and fireworks, again going all out. He wore a full middle-aged dad outfit and had a charcoal grill fired up and ready to go. After concluding our second ever game of Axis and Allies, which took slightly less time than the first, he giddily set off fireworks with us that were probably a bit too big for backyard use. We nearly blew up Joey after a slight malfunction with one of the mortar fireworks, but it was a great night in the end. Even on a presentation night this past summer, where we got together with some friends and just made drinks and presented fun PowerPoints we had made, he went all in and came with a full production. The topic of his was how to get women, and was genuinely one of the funniest things I'd ever seen. Even though he claimed he had only made it 30 minutes prior, we knew he was lying, and he presented it like he'd read it 1,000 times before and had everyone in the room crying with laughter by the end. There were other great memories too at Penn State, though I won't embarrass him recounting all of them. All I'll say now is that his eagerness and tendency to go all in applied to some Penn State holidays too, like State Patty's Day. I'll never forget being shocked at how quickly someone could eat an entire pot of recovery mac and cheese and be rallied by the evening. At Penn State, I remember too his devotion to Blue Band when he was a member. I would come home from class to find him practicing a trumpet part or see him coming home from a practice at a ridiculous time of day. Of course, he'd stop practicing as soon as I got back, despite my strong insistence that I didn't mind. I usually couldn't convince him, though, as I'm sure everyone who's ever spoken to him knows how overly considerate he could be. Speaking of how ridiculously considerate he could be, I remember how he used to go to the gym early in the morning when we were roommates. Like everything he did, Josiah went all in when he went to the gym, would go every day at 5:30 or 6 a.m. before classes. Even though I might be the heaviest sleeper in the world and told him that, he was convinced that he would make too much noise in the morning and would have all his clothes and gym gear in a bag ready to go so he could just slip out without awaking anyone. Aside from the gym, which I think might have been his greatest pride at some point or another, I think the hobbies that brought Josiah the most joy were playing games with friends and riding his motorcycle. I remember countless nights out at bars with him where, after an hour or two, he would say, "Man, I wish I was playing Smite right now," or something to that effect. And often, he would end up pulling an Irish goodbye with whatever group he was with and do just that, convinced that he was a much better player when tipsy from the bars. On other occasions, we'd be talking somewhere, either in person or online, and he'd just start saying, "I wish I was riding my motorcycle right now." This often escalated into Josiah making motorcycle noises with his mouth and miming revving it up, occasionally ending with him saying his abrupt goodbyes to go ride. Like everything with Josiah, when he was into something, he was really into it. I think that might be why he was so impactful to me and so many of us, and he was such a big part of my own life. When he did anything, he wouldn't hold back, whether it was going to the gym, throwing a party, or getting a half dozen people, some with very bad sleep schedules, all online at the same time to play a game. It's also why I and everyone here will miss him so much, but I guess I can't personally complain too much after getting to have him be such a big part of my life and such a great friend for so many years. Thank you.